Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the California Placement Association Connecting Tomorrow's Leaders Monthly Webinars. We have Luis Sobrevilla and Greg Friedman that will be hosting and doing this presentation. And with that, Luis and Greg, if you want to kick us off while I go ahead and let people in.
Sounds good.
Good morning, everyone, or early afternoon. We're so glad to have you here. Your pre-lunch entertainment today. Hopefully you get a lunch on this busy Wednesday. My name is Greg Friedman. I am a job developer and training technician from Merced County Office of Education. I've been with them for 9 years doing job placements and for adults and students. Before that, I have 25 years in the full service restaurant industry. So I've got plenty of industry background.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. My name is Luis Sobrevilla. I work with also Merced County Office of Ed, and I also do what Greg does. We're in job development training. Tech, and I provide our workforce services for our Gateway Adult Education Network, which is a part of the Adult Consortium. So I get to work with our adult population, our RRP programs, or CTE programs. We have 8 members within our district. So we get to do webinars and workshops and try to get our students connected to employment, which is really what CPA is about. And I know Greg and I are both co-educational representatives in the North, and that's how we got attached to CPA a few years back. We attended a conference and we haven't left since. So anybody interested in CPA, definitely this is something that we're starting new this particular year, especially with a pandemic going on and having just another option going through webinars and another way of connecting and working with one another. The idea for this series is really, or the webinars that we want to do monthly is once a month, we'll be doing student-centered focused kind of webinars. And then we'll also have professional kind of development in the middle of the month. So is that about, did I mention everything, Greg?
Yep, I think you did. Yeah, this is our first one, so be gentle on us. Luis and I presented a bunch of times together. But yeah, so we're really looking forward to this taking off. Happy to have all of you here. So please come back. Yeah, in the future. It will not just be Luis. We're gonna have a bunch of different presenters. So
agreed. We're just kicking it off, getting it going.
Yeah.
And today's topic we're going to go over is career exploration. So this is really, like I said, mentioned or geared towards our student population. So we're going to record this and have this available to all our student and client population. So let's get going with career exploration. We're going to start off with kind of a short video, and I want to kind of preface it in the sense that this is like a marketing video in the UK. So we'll stop it right towards the end, right before they get into their spiel of their services. It's a lot of the things that we already do within CPA, but it's also what we do for our day-to-day jobs. But it's kind of funny, and we're going to let it play out a little bit, and then we'll have a quick discussion to kind of get us going. Hopefully there's no ads.
It's CPA, no ads.
So tell me about yourself.
Oh gosh, myself.
How about you tell me about yourself?
Sure, I had something written down here somewhere. Stupid.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
In your chair.
Hopefully I'll have my own clothing line by then, and maybe doing some charity work for the UN or polar bears.
Tell me about a time that you faced a problem and overcame it.
I couldn't decide which A-levels to do. So then I thought, why choose? I ended up doing all 8. Sleep is so overrated.
I don't see problems, I see opportunities. And right now, I see an opportunity right here.
How do you handle pressure?
Pressure? That's the thing you're supposed to bottle up and ignore, right? Then it goes away.
So tell me... I've had it up to here with this lot. Now, let me give you some advice so you don't make the same mistakes as these guys. As an employer, I get applications from lots of graduates every year, and if there's one thing that lets them down, it's a lack of preparation. So many of you think you can come out of university and just waltz into a job. That's okay if you want to be a dance instructor, but in the real world, employers like me want to see that you're prepared. Now, that's not just about having the right answers to interview questions, it's about showing me that you've got the right skills too, that you're about more than just a degree. And that's why this place.
And we'll pause right there because they get into, obviously, if you're in the University of wherever they may be at. This is kind of where it goes into their services. But we're going to stop right there. We'll get back to our presentation. And the idea is just kind of, do we see this or do we see this within either students, or do we feel this? Have we ever felt this through our career where we're just not exactly sure where we're going? We know that we're in school or we know that we're in a program, but we just don't know those next steps. And that's kind of the foundation of our particular presentation.
Exactly. So I'm sure we're all familiar with Zoom, but you can go in your upper right corner to view, and you can change to a gallery view or just see Luis and I spotlighted. So yeah, we're going to start off on assessments and why they are so important, or are they even important? And Luis and I obviously think they are very important. You're going to have this career for your next, hopefully, the rest of your life. So in one career and not change different industries. So you want to make sure it's a good one. None of us want that job. We really want something we enjoy coming to work to, have the passion to show up every day like Luis and I, and hopefully you currently do. But yeah, for our students and you out there just getting into the workforce, we want you to take assessments. You really need to learn about yourself so you can make that good match.
Yeah, and assessments are like little short kind of quizzes in a sense, right? They get to know us. So we want to be honest when we take these assessments. They're not tests. They're not something that's going to necessarily, when we take them, give us all the information of life and everything is easy and we can put it on the kind of a snooze mode in a sense. The assessments are going to give us data pretty much. They're going to give us information and things that they're going to guide us depending on how we answer these questions. So there's a different type of assessments. I mean, even as professionals, we can take leadership assessments. And they give us a lot of great information that says, hey, this is the type of person that we are, this type of leader that we are. In career assessments, it's really when we start identifying the different interests, the things that we might be, what we want to get into. What is our purpose when we want to get into a job and the things that we enjoy? And so we have interest profilers. There's also skills matcher. So imagine that 18-year-old student that is going into college or going into post-secondary, or mom and dad are like, hey, get a job. What are the next things that you need to start identifying? And a lot of times we may not know our skills. So taking a skills matcher, an assessment, a quiz in a sense that kind of gives us some of this information, it's super important because it will also match us towards careers. And it'll say, hey, these jobs, given your answers, are some things that you may want to look into. You may want to do a little bit more research in these particular careers.
And we're using the word test. There's no right or wrong answers on these. So it's not a pass, fail, credit, non-credit, nothing like that. And it will change. I have my students take interest profiler and skills career assessment tests every year. Because right now, when I was growing up, my interest profiler would never say I want to be a YouTube star, because that was not even a job available. We didn't have the internet back when I was a kid. So things change as new technologies and new jobs become available. So the assessments will change. So you want to take them because your interests are going to change as well. So something to keep doing. And I think we said even loosely, even once you're working, you can still take one, see what other things interest you.
Yeah. Especially once you've done a career, you've been at a job 5, 6, 7 years and you enjoy it. It doesn't hurt to take one. It never hurts to take an assessment on yourself. Priorities change, life changes, and kind of your interests do. Sometimes you learn to become an advocate, or you get into a different kind of field, and you're starting to say, hey, this is something I'm really interested in. Take another assessment and kind of identify, have things changed in your career the last few years. One of the big ones out of this is, to me, is personality. Is taking a personality assessment, because that's really where we're trying to identify how our temperaments match careers. So if I'm an introvert and I get into a job that is like super engaging with others and people, it may not match my personality. I may be somebody who wants to work in front of a computer, doesn't want tons of interaction. Maybe I'm very analytical and I want to do like fiscal reports, and that's kind of my thing. But now you put me in front of a whole bunch of people and dealing with customer service on a day-to-day basis and working with hundreds of people, it's not going to really match my personality. So taking these assessments are, I don't think we stress it enough, right? That's super important, and they're free. So we will talk in a couple of slides on where we can get access to these assessments.
Absolutely. So discussion question here for you students. What are some disadvantages if you do not take a career assessment? So even if you are not a student, you're a professional, throw it in the chat box and I'll go through and see. So we'll read a couple of them out. So we're hoping to make this interactive. So what are some disadvantages if you do not take a career assessment?
I can tell you, I did not take a career assessment 20 some years ago. Like Greg said, the internet is booming. We have all these resources. There's so many free ones. There's some paid version ones as well. But what happens if you don't take them? I mean, Greg and I didn't take them. So are they really that important? What are your thoughts?
Yes, they are, Luis, because I just picked a job that sounded good and went to college for it. And I never used my college degree, but it worked out for the best. So I wish I'd had it.
So I guess maybe some of this helps within the process, right? Because I mean, obviously we made it to certain careers that we really enjoy doing, but like Greg, I went through other roles before I really found the one that I enjoyed. And I feel like I really would have loved to have done maybe some of these assessments 20 years ago. And I probably would have figured things out a little bit sooner than kind of navigating without this information. What do we got in the chat, Greg?
They could save time and effort. Yeah. Not knowing your skills and preferences, you end up somewhere that isn't your best fit. Someone actually said some companies require the assessments for employment. Very good point. I can see how that'd be useful. Assessments help me understand myself and how I approach my work and coworkers better. I was better able to understand how to work with people better. They do help you learn your own strengths and weaknesses, and they help people choose jobs where they might be more than likely be successful. I think on the flip side, Luis, is if you and I think we do pretty good at what we do for our county in our local area. And I don't think a career assessment, if we take one, would have said you should get into workforce services and job placement. We might have ended up, as a teacher or something like that, and not really found our true calling and passion now. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing with assessments to realize is that they're giving you information. It's not going to always be the end all be all. It's really giving you, hey, these are some roles that you would probably be good at. Like Greg mentioned, maybe becoming a teacher because you're into education, which is very similar to what we're doing. It may not be the job title, but it's very similar in what we do when we work with our students is we are teaching and training and working with them. So that's the good stuff. Now, when I've taken assessments, now that I'm older and obviously with the internet and have more access to assessments, I'm telling you, they also help validate a lot of the things that I feel like I'm good at. And now I take these assessments and they really tell me, hey, you are good at these areas. And they kind of validate and give us that information says, yes, you're on the right path. You're doing a good job in what your career is supposed to be. So I've also used them in those areas. I know for professionals, we even have like leadership assessments and what type of leader you are. So there's so many, and all it is, like I said, it gives you that information in areas of strengths, but also areas of weaknesses. So then maybe those are things that we can work on as professionals.
And I think Nancy's like, my high school assessment told me I'd be a caterer. I'd be really good at that, actually. So why didn't you? We'll have to hear the story one day on why that didn't happen. And I think even when you start taking some of these assessments, it's not going to pinpoint down, like it'll say like you'd be good at carpentry or construction. It's not going to say like you're going to be good at like pouring cement and not at putting up walls or framing. So it's not that specific. And it will talk about later even about career clusters. So once it says, hey, you're into construction, it means that you're probably good with working with your hands and you like being outdoors, those type of things. So then you can really explore that whole career industry cluster of construction and then find what really excites you there.
Yeah. And for those students who have not, or those individuals who have not taken an assessment, it's not like hardcore mathematics, or you're going to have to read all this information and do it, a quiz on it to find for comprehension. They're really questions that are getting down to you, asking you, are you a hands-on person? Are you a problem solver? And they're just going to ask a lot of questions, but what it's trying to do, the computer, the AI is really trying to identify where are your skills, where are your interests, where's that personality, where does all that match? And that's going to kind of give you the answers that it creates. So we want to be the most honest that we can. This is the time to be honest to this assessment, because as long as we keep putting information that may not be accurate, we're not going to get the results that we need. So we definitely want to be very honest and as truthful as we can when we take these assessments.
I was just about to say that, Luis, because somebody posted, they took an assessment a few years ago and it told them the top career for them was a brewmeister. So they obviously just answered each question with, I like to drink. And they weren't being completely, which maybe is completely honest, but yes, you were.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't get in some sort of industry that
yes.
that is within that field, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I've worked with individuals who like sports, and maybe that's an area that you get into. It may not be playing the sport, but it doesn't mean that you can't help coach it or work in some sort of kinesiology where you're actually working with athletes. So it's one of those things, like just identifying those interests and then kind of finding careers, how you can find a job where you're going to make money doing it. The saying is right. If you find a job, what was it? We just talked about it the other day. It was like, if you find something, a hobby or something that you like doing, doesn't feel like you're going to work a day in your life, because you enjoy showing up to work. You're not trying to figure out like, why I don't want to go there and call in. You're literally trying to, you want to go to work because you enjoy and you have that purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nancy, the one that thought about being a caterer, she was 10 years in the restaurant and retail, and now a job coach 28 years ago. And she's a job developer now. So we're the opposite, Nancy. I was 25 years in the restaurant industry. So yeah. All right.
So number two.
Go for it, Luis.
You want me to go? Okay. So we had kind of mentioned some of the assessments and what they do is they really start identifying, and these are the big four ones: your skills, your interests, your personality, and your values. So these are what we're trying to identify within every individual. This is what we want to individually find. And when we work with students, this is what we're trying to identify within them. But if you can try to figure out what skill sets you have, kind of those interests, the things that you enjoy reading, engaging with, watching a movie about it, whatever it may be, reading an article, YouTubing, those interests is going to take you a long way. It's going to start identifying the jobs and the careers you may be interested in. Your personality to me is very important, making sure that it matches your personality, the work that you're going to do, and then your values. And I know Greg will probably talk a little bit more in detail of each one, but the idea, the big picture of this is once we identify these four, is getting into careers that match these four. The problem is if we find a job that doesn't fit in one of these four categories or one of these four areas, we may struggle a little bit. Maybe we don't have the skill set for the particular job, and it's something that we can learn through an internship or getting some experience, but it's something I'm interested in. I have the personality, I have the value. I'm just not quite there yet with the skill set. We can probably get away with it in time. We'll develop those skills. The problem is when we're missing two of the four. Now I'm not interested and I don't have the skills, then we're going to struggle with the job or the career that we're getting into. So I kind of caution the students that I work with, can maybe get away with one, but definitely you can't get away with more than that. So you're trying now to be the happiest possible is identifying all four and matching your career with all four of these.
So, absolutely. So we were talking just a few minutes ago about, those assessments. We kind of talked about those career assessments, tell you what careers you'd be good at. But there is, like Louis said, assessments just on skills, interests, personality, and values. So if you're not fully aware of what these are, I'm going to go through them real fast for our students. So that skills are those things you're naturally good at. It could be that hard skill, like you're good with working with your hands and you have a knack for picking up on auto repair type things. Or it could even be those soft skills. You're a really good communicator, or you're a really empathetic person. Those could lead you into certain jobs, obviously in automotive or empathetic, maybe you're going to be good for nursing or a teaching type thing like that. So you can obviously learn skills as well, and that will help you. Like as you get good at, you learn them, you get better, that could help you lead you to a career field. But those natural innate skills you just kind of naturally have, those aptitudes. Interests are obviously what you like. How do you know what your interests are? What do you stay awake till 2 a.m, like looking up on YouTube, or it just time flies, I'm going to do this for 1 minute. I'm going to read a page in a book, and next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you read, the whole Harry Potter series type thing. So those are your interests. There's assessments that we're talking about today, but you can also ask other people, ask your friends and coworkers, your parents, relatives, what do you think my skill set is? Because we don't always recognize can do that self-assessment on this. So you can ask other people as well. That personality Luis mentioned earlier, are you an outgoing person, introvert or extrovert? I'm the extrovert. I could never work in a cubicle. It would literally kill me. I'd hate that job. I'd want to leave after like a week. So if I think that personality is a big one just right off the bat. Like, are you a people person? You need that social engagement, or do you need to be alone? And that'll help side. You can be a forest ranger and be, out in the middle of the woods all by yourself, or you could be a tour guide at Yosemite Park and have that interaction. But at least you kind of know where you need to go in those industry fields. Finally, that last one is values. What do you really hold important? Maybe you believe you want to make a difference in the world. So you're going to find a career, you really believe in ending starvation or homelessness. So maybe that's a career you want to get into. Either, helping out a nonprofit or something like that. The example I always use is like, if you're a vegetarian, you probably don't want to go working in a meat packing place. You're not going to be happy there. So, and we talk about your personal values to your job, and then later on in this whole career planning stage, we'll talk about the values of the company where you want to work. You want to make sure that your values align with the companies that you work at as well. So like Louis said, you really want to get all 4 of these to match up to find a good career. We didn't do this, like I said, we didn't do this when we're growing up. I think I'm pretty well set now. I really believe in the values of what we do as job developers. I think I'm kind of good at it. It definitely interests me. Love learning. That's why I joined CPA. Personality, I get to do, be outgoing, meet people. So anything else to add in there, Luis?
No, you did awesome. Those are definitely the 4. We actually took this from a Yale Career Services. Actually has a really good lesson on it. So if anybody wants to dig a little bit deeper in the rabbit hole, this is kind of where the information we got, but it really does make sense when you literally check box all 4 of these, making sure that, hey, they do change in time. Your values may change a little bit. But like Greg alluded to, we're not going to talk about it today, but when we do that company research and we're looking for a job at that point, we do want to make sure that we do align with everything that we're doing with all 4 of these.
All right, discussion time. Let's get some input again. Which one of these areas do you believe is the most important? Luis and I were just talking about this the other day. Is that skills, interests, personality, or values? How do you rank them? So maybe Gina, we will get there. So,
we know they're all important. We're saying yes, all 4 of them we need all 4. But which one would you almost lead with and say, hey, I got to find a job. It has to fit, my personality, because that's where it starts off. That's
how do you rank them? Maybe.
Yeah.
So, Luis, someone actually asked, do we have an example and an assessment you can share? We're going to throw out some websites in a bit. We don't actually have one up here, but I know like assessments, they're usually like 30 questions, the longer ones, or 60 questions. All right. So people say interest and personality, personality or values, personality and values. All right.
I'm wondering, can I interject here? My apologies.
Go for it,
I'm wondering, I know that we have a lot of professionals in workforce development here. I'm wondering if from the audience, we can have them share some of those personality profiles that they have that they're utilizing as a tip with their job seekers as well, or their clients, and then share it with all of us. And then what we'll do is this video is going to go ahead and get posted. So you'll be able to view it on our website at the CaliforniaPlacementAssociation.org. And then we'll post some other assessments and compilate. Is that all the resources that you guys provided? Thank you.
Yes. And we talk about it actually in the third part is the different assessments. So we'll get to all the ones that we kind of utilize as free ones. We're just kind of doing the build up part of things in a sense. I agree. I've heard personality and values are almost those foundational things that people feel like it starts there.
Personality, but personality. Yeah. How personal values align with employer values. Exactly, Kate. That's personality. Everyone's kind of saying personality and values.
I would agree. I think we had this conversation. I would say that personality and those values are the foundation, because you can learn skills. Obviously, it's great to have interpersonal skills that you're kind of like are already developing, as a childhood and going through a young adulthood. But skills are things that you can kind of grow with, right? But that personality, you're kind of not saying set in your ways, but personality makes a big part in the work that we do. I know working with Greg has personality. He makes the job fun. He brings the energy to the room, and having that personality helps me as well, kind of making sure the things that we're doing, that we're always super engaging with our employers. But that personality, his personality really is it definitely makes an impact on me. So I agree.
And I think obviously your interests change over time. So and your interest you may not be interested in it now, but you get into it. Like I never really knew about workforce development until I kind of had a job that kind of got me there, and I got more interested in there. It came to. So,
and I think to realize that for students, and I'm sure professionals on here as well, is sometimes we get into a job that then later on we find that passion. My first job actually with MCOE was in the special education department, and I had no really connection to, my children or relatives. Nobody had special needs, but it was an area that was needed in education. I got into it. And then started building definitely for sure compassion, but also I became more of an advocate for our particular population. Greg is also another person who also worked in the special ed department where we didn't have that beginning foundation. And now that kind of grew into one thing or another. So it's not always going to say, and so I'm telling students now who might be that 20-year-old that's looking into a job, you may not have the answers and that passion, but you will find it along the way when you're doing the work. This, what we're talking about, identifying and taking assessments, it's the foundation to get you into the next steps, at least to guide you and not where it feels like you're throwing darts at a huge, massive dartboard and just trying to kind of maybe figure it out and take 5-6 jobs before you actually find the one that you like. The more we can do that research, the more information we can get about ourselves, the better we're going to kind of be starting off into our careers, at least on the right foot. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll get into the good one, because I think this is where we're getting some feedback, right, Greg? I'll let you get into the resources.
So yeah, so here's some of our favorite ones. These are all free, so students take advantage. We don't have these linked here. We might be able to get them up on our website, but literally Google California Career Zone. They have profilers, the assessments. They have some longer ones. In California Career Zone, California Career Cafe is another one. ONET, the California One Stop. Obviously, the Occupational Outlook Handbook, they have an assessment, but a ton of great information there. Once you find a career, all these will kind of say you can either do a super easy assessment or a bigger one, and will then tell you this is what job you're good at, and then there's more information. So you can go to that next step. It'll have about pay and job growth. Obviously, the California ones are definitely pulling California data, but the ONET Occupational Handbook are for bigger nationwide. Kimberly Carson said, a great assessment book is Strengths 2.0. They also have a book for youth, Top 5 Strengths. The free one is mynextmove.org, which we don't have on here. The purple box is the assessment. So she has that link in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and then she put the Strengths Finder 2.0 in there as well for the youth one, it looks like.
Well, since we're doing good on time, let me check 11:28. Yeah. We're doing good on time. I'm going to enter one of these just so we can kind of, for those who are not super familiar with it, just let me know, Greg, that you can see my screen. This is the ONET one.
So, and feel free to put in the chat, which ones you guys use. So my next move is the ONET one.
Yep. So this is just kind of gives us really a great, overview. In essence, because the whole idea is we're going to get into that career exploration part. That's what today's discussion is we got to get our students to start doing this research component and figuring out, once we do these assessments, then we're going to want to get them connected into careers. And that's kind of the next steps, kind of like the progression of things. So you can obviously look at them through this area. I think this link took us to where it's more just finding them by clusters. Let me go back to see if I can get into one where it actually is. And I'm sorry, because my screen is like half blocked with faces. Let me go to the career one stop one and see if we can get it to the right link that shows you more like a traditional assessment.
Career videos.
These are career videos. So obviously these links are not linked correctly, and I apologize for that. Let's try
California Career Zone. Never fail.
Never fails, right?
Virtual Job Shadow is another good source. Is that a paid one, M. Soto, or is that a free one? I know, like, my son's high school has. I thought Virtual Job Shadow that. Oh yes, it is a paid one. So Virtual Job Shadow. Can you open one up, Greg? We're going to go on the fly here. Can you open one up because for some reason the links, like, which one do you want me to, what do you want? Anyone that just to kind of give an idea of an assessment. I know I have them on my site, but it'll probably take a little bit. And okay, I've got so let me stop share. I'm gonna stop share real quick. I got go for it. Oh, lots of faces now. I could see faces. Right. Hopefully you're seeing ONET online. Yes, sir. Okay, so I was thinking this was the one we did the other day for industry. Browse by ONET data. Find occupation. So you can go find occupations. That's the best way to go, by career cluster or industry. So we can go career cluster. Oh, we got Rosalinda that added one in there. Yeah. So you can actually pick, so by career cluster, you can now pick what, so if you're thinking about doing education or training, this isn't what I was thinking of, was it, Luis? No, that's what I'm saying. For some reason, my link is not matching up. Here we are saying there's a whole bunch of free ones. There is. Okay. Trust us, there is free ones. Can you see California Career Zone? Yes, we can. Okay, so you can go under explore. I really love California Career Zone. You can go discover possibilities or explore. You do a quick assessment is literally 3 choice. You pick 3, gives you a quick view, like here's what artistic is, So I could be an artistic, and could be like social, and I'm enterprising. And then I can click view results. And it will then tell me here's jobs. It found 3 jobs that match it. So super easy 3 choice. I can then click on broadcast news, learn about salary, about the job, what they do, schools I can go to, interests, things like that. The other option to do for California Career Zone is like an interest here's the interest profiler we talked about, a work importance, and a skills profiler. So if you go interest profiler, we'll start a new one, and we can do the 30 question mini one. So, and it's just little icons. I really like it or I hate it. So, and remember we said there's no right or wrong answer. So, yep, it's not a test. Take your time, think about it. So do you like to build kitchen cabinets? You love it, you hate it, somewhere in between. So, and this is probably asking you, do you like working with your hands? So, yep, develop a new medicine. Would I love doing that? I'm probably not want to work in that lab and all that schoolwork. Write books or plays? Yeah, I'm kind of mad on it. So you go through. So I'm just going to go through and pick answers here just so we can get to the end of it. And obviously, you know, if you like music, you might also like writing plays. So you'll get some stuff together. But since I'm just picking, who knows where it will come up as choices. It'll be like, there's nothing for you, Greg. You should be in career exploration.
And this is hopefully what our students are not doing, right? We want to make sure that they are, or students or individuals that are going through this is actually taking the time and going through each individual one.
Singing in a band, is that something I want to do? If you've ever heard me, no, I should not be singing in a band.
Not.
Take care of children. I kind of like kids. I don't know if I could do it all day, every day. I'm pretty good at selling. I could do it. And
Quick question. Oh, sorry.
Go for it, Rosalinda.
Oh, there was a question asking, and I might have missed it, but is the virtual job shadow free?
No, it was not, she said.
Okay, and I just put on the bottom the free aptitude and career assessment test. It's an article, and it lists a lot of the ones that some of us use and a couple other ones. And if you click on that article, and I'm going to go ahead and post it on LinkedIn. So follow me on LinkedIn, follow CPA on LinkedIn. We'll make sure that we put this article on there as well. And you have it now on chat because you are live with us on our monthly webinars.
Awesome. I was also going to say, Rosalinda, if afterwards with the chat, we can kind of take all the different links and then see if we can get Chung to put it on the website. So we have everything that was kind of discussed. Do you think that's something doable?
Absolutely, yes.
Love it. Love it. This is great. I appreciate everybody's feedback because I think that's part of this whole kind of thing with webinars too, is sharing. That's why we threw in questions in there to kind of get that engagement piece to it because we're going to learn just as much as we're teaching as well.
Yeah. And that's why we love doing this. We love to learn from our students as well. So when you finish the assessment, so it told me my top 3 were social, artistic, enterprising, which is kind of on that pie wheel before. And then here's the scores for my other 3. And then if I click view occupations, it's going to tell me it found 62 jobs. So first one being clergy. Interesting. So, you know, public address system or an announcer. So a teacher. So it goes through, says I need a high school diploma or a master's degree, the pay. And this is declining. So there's not a lot of job growth right now in this industry. So that's something to consider too when you're looking at your jobs, is you don't want to be like, oh, I'm underwater basket weaving. You know, California only needs one of those. So there's gonna be a lot of competition for that job, and it may not be a financially rewarding career for you. You might not be able to get a job. So you want to find something that's growing in what industries are growing. Obviously right now, medical and IT are growing by leaps and bounds.
Sounds good. I was going to get back to this one really quick. Another one. This is the ONET one that I know in my mind that I was thinking about. What I like to use this one, particular with our students, is because you can go back and actually enter scores. So this, I won't go through the whole test, but it's the same idea. You go through, a series of questions, and then it gives you results. It gives you kind of different numbers and says, hey, these are the jobs you'd be good at. And then kind of also gives you additional data, very similar to the one Greg was showing. From my end, as somebody working with students, is I can actually get those numbers and then go into the enter spot. I can actually put their numbers in there, and then it creates the profile that they got. And then I can kind of see, oh, okay, So you're telling me you want to apply for this job and it doesn't really match your personality. Doesn't mean that we're not going to work towards it. But at least for me, I feel I would ask additional questions to kind of identify, is this a job that you're going to be set up for success or failure? So I kind of like using this one because I can throw back information and then help the student out. All right. Well, let me go back to, can you see three career exploration resources?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So obviously there's a lot of great resources in the chat feature, and we'll make sure we can put all these websites, the right links, the correct links. We'll make sure that we get them on the website. So then this way you can kind of check back and at least have some areas that you can kind of funnel to students, or students can use these particular links. So, all right, well, let's get into our question, because this one's super important. What the heck? Why are we doing this? Why is researching multiple careers? That Greg added that one, multiple careers. Why is researching multiple careers important? So this is for our students, our professionals. If I find my one job and I want to do that one job, why do I have to keep researching and doing more, for another job? Why do we do that?
And maybe it's, it's a different career in a same field. Maybe it's in different fields. I mean, we talk about certain jobs, IT. Well, every industry uses IT now. So you can really take that passion for saving the environment for something and work for, IT for PETA or for the Forestry Service versus Facebook. So, yeah. So understanding the broad scope of career options that do similar tasks. Okay, Kate, that's exactly kind of what I was trying to say. You just worded it much better than I did. You probably took a moment to think about it before you typed it.
And so working with adults, that's one of the things I see is that it's sometimes it's the one option. And we know, obviously, the jobs sometimes don't turn out. I'm in a location where those jobs are not at. And so having multiple career opportunities or options that I've researched is obviously a way to help me say, well, if option one doesn't work, it's like, there's 26 letters in the alphabet. There's going to be a lot of several options. And that's what we kind of want to do when we're doing this research, is not just stop at one opportunity or one career, one sector. It's seeing, okay, it's telling me to research maybe 3 or 4. Let me go do the 3 or 4, because it's also going to give me that experience. Once you start looking and researching and watching videos on what careers are doing, what are the duties and the jobs that people do, how many jobs are available, what's the medium, how much money you're going to make, you start identifying like, oh, maybe that's something I don't want to do. I don't want to deal with blood. Like I thought it'd be cool, but this is something that definitely is not I want to do. And then you want to have another option. You want to have either another option within that sector, and maybe it's still working in the medical field, but it's not necessarily dealing in the ER, or maybe it's just a completely different industry. And that's why, in my opinion, that's why it's important to have multiple options, especially throughout a career. A career is your entire life. It's not just what you're doing in your 20s or in your 30s. Things evolve, things change. Like Greg had mentioned, YouTube was not around, couldn't be a YouTuber back in the day. And I guarantee in 10, 15 years, there are going to be jobs that are not in existence today. So we want to kind of always continue to build. That's what our careers is constantly changing, because the workforce is constantly changing. So we have to kind of adapt with it.
Yeah, notice that when we did the couple assessments, it didn't give you just one job. I think the smallest one was 3 jobs. And they're probably all kind of closely aligned, but they might have been different, different industries. So that other one I just picked through gave me 62 options. So you don't need to look at all 62. You might want to don't research all 62. Go through, see which ones kind of interest you. And even then you're still like, hey, that kind of sounds interesting. How could I then either go right into that field or maybe adapt that to something else? So someone said, sometimes we cannot see how we have the potential to take skills from one industry and use them in an untraditional setting. Researching keeps you career competitive. Absolutely. The value of transferable skills, that's that soft skills or essential skills. And thinking about entrepreneur opportunities that are self-driven. Absolutely. So you could say, maybe your assessment says you'd be good at announcing. Well, that doesn't mean you need to work for a radio station. You could become an announcer. I don't know, we're an ag, so you could end up doing,
or YouTuber,
auctioneer.
right?
Yeah. And now that's today's announcer, is being that YouTube star.
That's
and
right.
If you have some video editing skills and you have a personality and you have a great voice, and I mean, there's all those pieces. It's not super easy to be a YouTuber, but there's a platform. And because technology and because of the platforms that we have, we're able to do jobs that we couldn't do 10 years ago. So you're right. I think it's using these transferable skills, things that you're already kind of naturally at. Maybe this industry or area is starting to kind of diminish, but where can I use those skills and go into either a new career or new platform and do the same things that I have that passion for, that I enjoy doing. I like to work and I like to present, then put that on YouTube and you can make some really good money doing that, right?
Are you reading the chat? Because you're just segueing exactly what people are saying. So Sarah said exactly what you said. Multiple avenues help a job seeker feel hopeful in the case they're a niche skill set that's faced changes. Look, right now we talk about adaptability. Technology is making changes. There's jobs are disappearing. They're not going to come back due to technological changes. So maybe you need to say, well, I always worked in the restaurant industry and I have this great skill set. What other industries can I use the skill set in? Because I still have 40 more years to work and my job's not around right now. So
Sarah makes a great point. And that's the thing, is we don't want our students or individuals or any of us, we may get to that point in our mid 40s and be like, I'm loving this, but I don't love doing it in this, in this way. The great thing with technology are these, these platforms. Things are constantly changing. We have to adapt. I think somebody had mentioned in the chat about really forecasting, where are these industries going to be in 3 to 5 years? Because it's almost a different industry. We never would have thought when we were a little bit younger with the online platforms of buying things from Amazon. And now everything is really about buying online. And that has changed in the last 20 years for some of us who are old enough to see how much technology has changed from the 90s to the 2000s and now, beyond. It's going to constantly be changing the next 5 years. So I agree 100%. I talk to our students with this all the time, is really forecasting 2 to 3 years, getting in your industry, the idea of what am I going to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and those kind of thoughts and those questions that we would ask one another. It's completely changing, because to say what I'm going to do in 10 years is very difficult to answer, because so much has changed in 10 years. It's more like, what am I doing to build my skill sets? What am I doing to network? What am I doing to kind of get into a field where then I can use those skills and maybe another area and use those transferable skills? So it's really thinking, I guess, from all this career exploration, it's really thinking big picture. It's putting all these pieces together. I don't want to come out super over complicated. But it really is identifying all these little things that are moving, because our world is moving that quickly. And the quicker we can kind of get ahead of it, the more that we know what to research and understand. But it all starts with number one. It starts with us. We really have to start identifying our skills, our personalities, our values and interests. It goes back to the things that we were talking about. It starts there and it kind of builds.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, then we'll go to the last one before we start wrapping up. How are we doing on time? We're almost getting to lunch.
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes till the lunch bell. So yeah.
Awesome. So California industry sectors, I think there's 16 technically. In California, there's 15, but I believe in the United States, I believe there's 16. I think we're special in our state. So we chopped one off, or we probably threw it in the middle somewhere. But anyway, we have 15 different sectors or industries that when we talk about, we're working with our students to kind of get them connected into kind of a ballpark, into an area where there's multiple jobs in a running a facility. But we want to kind of try to get into the right ballpark. And sometimes we may be 2 or 3 different ballparks that we're in. And we want to make sure that we're doing the research in each particular industry, because there's so many roles within building and construction trade. There's so many roles within, education or public services. And that's what we want our students to see, is get into this sector in this industry and start identifying the jobs that are there, because there's going to be many of them.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. They may say, I'm really not sure what I want to do. And even after all those assessments, they can really kind of just jump into a sector, or I really love being outdoors. So let me go look at that ag and natural resource or something. Or maybe they've taken a CTE class on marketing. So and then kind of go look and see, okay, here's what you just kind of go there and look and see what's around. Because there's so many jobs out there. There's so many new ones. I have no idea how many health science and medical technology jobs are out there. So you can just scroll through and learn, and something might pique your interest, and then you can go down that rabbit hole. So
yeah, I know working with some of our adult ed population, I try to get our students, and it doesn't always work this way, where somebody wants to get a job. And just because they need to make some income when they're going to school. And I try to obviously get our students to get into the industry, take that entry level position within the industry, because at least you're learning what's going on. What's going on in the pipeline. You can start building networks within your industry. Once you finish your tract or your CTE course or your AA degree, now at least you can start going into that industry and start moving up the pecking order. But at least you have the foundation for 2 to 3 years as an entry level worker in that particular industry. Not that there's nothing wrong of working at like a Best Buy and then saying, oh, I want to get into the medical field, because there's transferable skills of customer service within Best Buy. But I'd probably rather, want a job that has something to do and align somewhere in that industry, because networking, I know we don't talk about it in this particular webinar, but networking and learning what's going on in that career, it helps being at least within that job. If possible, if you can get into the industry or the sector that you're wanting to get into at any level. I want to get into education. Maybe I'm going to be a custodian because I can start building relationships with the cafeteria staff, teachers, the principal, and I'm working on my degree so I can be a teacher. At least you're within that district or within that industry of education, because you work for an educational, district. At least you can start chipping up the ladder that way and showing your work ethic. So just food for thought is really kind of thinking, how do I get myself into the right sector that I want to do? And then what jobs that I can, at every level, can I start here? Because ultimately I want to end up here, but you got to start someplace, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
So
then we are wrapping it up.
So real fast, if you can just take a minute, can you in the chat say where you're from, what state or area? Would love your state, or what part of California. We just love to know. Our reach is our first time. We're really hoping to keep doing this. So, all right, we got that. Luis has, we got a brand new website. We're super proud of. New logo for us this year. CPA has been around for a long, long time, much longer than Luis and I have been around. So, but we just revamped, kind of entering the 21st century brand. Yes, so awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Look at all these places. Also, can we have some California Placement Association board members on here, and I would like for them to introduce themselves. So maybe we'll start off with Luis and Greg, and then and if you board members, if you could unmute yourself and share what part of the state you're at and what college you're at.
I was going to show the video, Rosalinda.
Oh, go ahead.
Wasn't that fun? Okay.
Want me to stop share?
Yeah.
I was going to really quick, Greg, can I click into the link and then we'll go to the video?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
You take over and then.
So for anybody interested in our future webinars, like Greg mentioned, this is the first one that we're having, and we're hoping to continue doing this throughout. I think one of the conversations we had with CPA is that we met in our regional conferences, and then we had a state conference. So anybody that's not familiar with CPA, it's just kind of getting on. We do have a state conference. It's usually in person, and it's awesome. We have a great time. It's one of the things I love about CPA is that we are fun, and we have a lot of other activities outside, just in case you're interested in just being a part of a group that's super fun to be around. But I'm going to kind of put or I'm going to click into the link. I'm hoping this link works.
I'm going to put the link in the chat right now.
Okay, perfect. But this is where you can have access to it's calplacement.org/webinars. Greg's putting in the chat features. But this is where you'll have access to future. We have not put the calendar out there yet. We're in the process, but this way you can kind of see the different topics, and then you can register through Eventbrite. All the monthly webinars, they're free for our partners and our students, and they'll be obviously able to watch the videos down the road, just in case you miss it. So
yep. So yeah, like you said, we'll get all the videos there. You are free to share these with your students, use them for yourself. CPA is all about education and teaching others. That's why we're doing this. Yeah, so we will definitely get on the website and on Eventbrite, more dates. We're just kind of flying the airplane as we're building it. But yeah, Luis, I was going to show the intro video, or unless you want to, yeah, you can.
You want to put it? Okay,
so
there we go.
And then feel free to put in the chat box also any topics you would like us to address, so we could get subject matter experts on those topics for future monthly webinars.
Yeah, and you make a good point, Rosalinda. We definitely are, when we do the ones for professionals, we want to get the professionals who deal with that particular topic. So if we need to reach out to some organizations or individuals that are pros in that field, that's the idea that we want to get. This way we're all learning from those particular topics. So,
and if you'd like to present, if you are an expert on something workforce related, we'd love to have you present, whether you're a CPA member, a CPA member or not. Oh, remote working positions. That could be a good topic. All right.
All right.
So yeah, Luis, we'll wrap it up with our last little pitch. CPA, our dues are really cheap. Great group of people. We really hope you enjoyed today. We appreciate you coming. We've got a cute little video we made to see what CPA is all about.
All right. I want to press play, but I couldn't open the
here. You want me to share screen then?
Yeah. Let me. If you already have it full screen, sir,
yeah.
I appreciate it. Let me stop share.
That should be there. Here we go.
And then after this, I'd love to get a photograph of all of us for LinkedIn.
My name is Luis Sobrevilla, and I work with the Merced County Office of Education, and I'm a proud member of California Placement Association.
Hi, my name is Greg Friedman. I work with Merced County Office of Education. I'm a proud member of the CPA Northern Region.
Hi, my name is Denise Crawford, and I work at Bakersfield College, and I'm a proud member of the California Placement Association Central Region.
Hi, I'm Rosalinda Rivas, and I'm a proud member of the California Placement Association.
All right. And we still have some people online. I would like to ask, with your permission, if you're willing to take a LinkedIn photograph so we can post this on LinkedIn. I would say, put yourselves on screen. Ladies, grab your hair, shake it about. Gentlemen, do your dab. And then bring out the smiles. I'm going to do 2 because we have 2 pages on this screen, and I want to make sure that we capture it.
And I want to say, anybody that knows Rosalinda, she's a photo taker. So this is one of many, many thousand.
One of the new skills acquired in our workforce development, they're called selfies. Social media and branding, right? A technical skill that many of us do at our workplace, right? So so here we have it. Okay, so
I'm
if
gonna
I could
stop
get
recording.
1 thumbs up or 2 thumbs up.
I'm going to stop recording, Rosalinda. Is that okay?
I'm sorry?
I'm going to stop recording. Is that okay?
Oh, yes, go ahead. Thank you.